Hey, welcome to iFlip for Math Mathcast, lessons 9-8 and 9-9, converting fractions and decimals. I'm Mrs. Gooding, and our quote tonight is not really a quote, but I thought it was kind of cool. It's a saying that says there's a fine line between numerator and denominator, and that line is the division symbol. It's another division symbol. So we can use that division symbol to convert fractions to decimals, which is our learning goal tonight, to write fractions as decimals and write decimals as fractions and mixed numbers. And all the photos you're going to see tonight will be of my favorite animal, the orangutans. I think you'll like them a lot. Our individual lesson learning goals are to read a fraction or decimal to yourself to easily convert it. That's important. Remember that one. Write a fraction or mixed number as a decimal. Write a decimal as a fraction or mixed number, and use division to change a fraction to a decimal. Here's our first example. We're going to go to the Bamboo tablet and we're going to write 2 15/100ths as a fraction or mixed number. Then we're going to divide or use equivalent fractions to change 2/5 to a decimal. Aren't those cute pictures? So for this example 1, we're going to read the decimal 2 15/100ths, and when we read it, that really tells us exactly how we write it as a fraction. It reads the exact same for both a fraction and a decimal. Notice that our 2 is going to be a whole number, and I'm going to change to a different colored pen just so that you can really see the difference. The 2 is always our whole number. Whatever comes to the left of the decimal is a whole number. And then this part, 15/100ths, is written as a fraction just like that, 15/100ths. If you forget, remember, there's a 0 in the denominator for every digit that there is after the decimal. So if there's 2 digits, there's 2 zeros. 2 15/100ths, exactly as you read it as a decimal. You could also simplify that. We're not going to simplify it today because you're just writing exactly what you see. But I wanted you to understand that 15/100ths can definitely be simplified by making a cake. So let's look at example 2. This one is a regular fraction. There's no whole number. And we're going to use the division strategy to figure this out. So remember, I said this was the division symbol, and this reads 2 divided by 5, which means 2 will go in the house and 5 goes outside the house. Now you're looking at it and you're saying, well, you can't divide a whole number, into a number that's smaller than itself. And you're right, we can't usually do that. But we're going to use our decimal division strategies to solve that problem, because 5 will not go into 2. But if I put a decimal after the 2 and then bring it straight up and add a 0 after the decimal, I now have a 20. And 5 will go into 20, absolutely. So 4 times 5 is 20. And 20 minus 20 is 0. I don't have anything else to bring down, so I'm done. Now, to make this grammatically, mathematically correct, I'm going to have to put a 0 in front of that decimal, because the decimal says and we don't want to have and 4/10ths. We want to make sure we have something in front of it. Even though we don't read that 0 out loud, we say 4/10ths. So 2/5 actually equals 4/10ths. So now we're going to do some practice. I love the way that baby orangutan is holding on to his mom. And that looks a little bit like Kusasi, our male orangutan in Borneo, doesn't it? I don't think it's him, but it looks like him. Number 1, we're going to write 2/100ths as a fraction or mixed number. I'm practically giving you the answers on these because I'm reading them aloud to you. If you were reading them, you would have to figure out which place that 2 is in. And remember, decimal, tenths, hundredths, there's no ones place on the decimal side. So go ahead and write that as a fraction or mixed number and push play when you're ready. Did you write 2/100ths? That's exactly right. Now you probably wrote it with the 2 on top of the 100, which is, I think, the better way to write fractions, but it's harder to type. So 2/100ths is the same thing as 2/100ths. Let's try another one. I don't think we need to do that one on the Bamboo tablet. Write 6 6/10ths as a fraction or mixed number. Pause it and push play when you're ready. Did you write 6 6/10ths That first 6 is your whole number, just like the whole number to the left of the decimal. Then 6/10 is written 6 over 10. 6/10, just like the decimal, 6/10. These are almost too much fun to stop doing, but we're going to try a practice word problem. Oh, no, we're not. We're going to go from fractions to decimals. I'm not doing a push-up for that one. Look at all those baby orangutans. And this is my favorite picture. I'm going to have this made into a poster for our room because it doesn't look like you guys giving me the thumbs up. But in class, when you finished your mastery check and you give me the thumbs up, that'll just remind us what the signal is for that. Number 3, we're going to write 9 3/10 as a decimal, and I'm actually going to do that one for you on the Bamboo tablet. But go ahead and do your best on it, pause it, and push play when you're ready. Did you write 9 3/10? Remember, I guess I don't need to do it on the Bamboo tablet for you. That 9 is the whole number, and 3/10 is written right, we put the 3 in the tenths place, so 9 3/10. Let's try one more. Write 4/100 as a decimal. This one's a little bit trickier. We have to remember where the hundredths place is. Pause it and push play when you're ready. Did you write 4/100? Remember, decimal place value positions go decimal, tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So when we get to the hundredths place, we stop and write our 4 in that place value position. We fill in the rest of the positions with zeros. And we don't need any zeros after the last digit in a decimal. It doesn't change the value of the number. Now, we're going to divide fractions to decimals. Use division to change 4/25 to a decimal. Remember, that's writing it 4 over 25 and reading it 4 divided by 25. Go ahead and try that. Pause it and push play when you're ready. Did you write 16/100? I know, you're telling me that's crazy, Mrs. Gooding. Those numbers aren't anywhere in that fraction. Let's check it out and see how we did this one. So I went ahead and reminded you that when you write it horizontally, 4 divided by 25, you just read the symbols divided by, that's the same as 4 divided by 25. We read left to right and top to bottom, just like we do in a book. So 4 divided by 25. Again, you're telling me, that's crazy, Mrs. Gooding. I know, 25 won't go into 4. So we'll put our decimal here, take it straight up, and add a 0. 25 goes into 40 how many times? 1 time, because 25 times 2 is 50. So we'll put a 1 there. 1 times 25 is 25. It's kind of cool how we're able to ignore the decimal once we get it into place. 0 minus 5, we can't do that. 10 minus 5 is 5. 3 minus 2 is 1. 25 won't go into 15. We don't have to add another decimal because we already have one, so we can just add another 0. Now, it's going to go into this nice and evenly because 25 goes into 100 4 times and into 50 2 times. 4 plus 2 is 6. So I'll write 6 right over here. See, I'm keeping my numbers really lined up. Don't forget to do that. 6 times 25 is 150. And 150 minus 150 is 0. 0, right? Okay, so now remember we got to put a 0 there because we don't want to have no symbol to the left of we need a digit to the left of our decimal. So the answer is 16, and then that 16 ends in the hundredths place, so that's 16 hundredths. It's time to challenge yourself. Use division to change 14/56 into a decimal. Show your work in your flip journal and come back tomorrow ready to go over your answer in class. And look at that picture on the bottom. That's one of you making sure the other one isn't talking while you're supposed to be working or listening. I like that picture too. Finishing up. Don't forget, you're supposed to be writing down in your journal. Are you at a level 1 in your learning? Was this crazy hard for you? Are you at a level 2? You've almost got it, but you've got a couple questions you're going to write down. Or are you at a level 3? You think you've got it. Awesome orangutans, you have completed lessons 9-8 and 9-9, converting fractions and decimals. I can't wait to see you tomorrow.